Over the past few years, I've noticed something quite peculiar in some of the student essay plans I've been asked to give feedback on. Rather than creating a plan for the argument of an essay, that's the content, students have responded to the brief of prepare an essay plan by talking about the process that they will undertake to prepare their essay. This is often written out as a paragraph of continuous prose and usually looks something like this. To prepare my essay, I will read the question and then work through my study materials to find relevant information. I will then take some notes and write these up to create my essay. After I've done this, I will proofread my essay and edit this before submitting. This is not an essay plan, though I can see why students might struggle to create one, because much of the guidance on essay planning revolves around methods you can use to develop your ideas in an essay plan, rather than what elements of content should be included in an essay plan. We'll explore this further in this video. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Emily, a university teacher in the arts and humanities, but someone who also frequently studies as a student myself. And on this channel, we explore all things study related. So we've seen an example of what an essay plan isn't, but what does the term essay plan mean? An essay plan is essentially an outline of the content of your essay. That's your argument. Essay plans are useful as a means of organising your ideas prior to writing these up in full and planning the structure of the body of your essay. This is useful because it allows you to see the ideas in your essay as a snapshot before writing these up, and consequently it's possible to identify any problems in your argument before investing a lot of time in polishing this. Consequently, an essay plan can be modified as you work on developing your argument. This is often a useful process for reflective practice and identifying why changes were needed so you can refine your process in the future. It's useful to record your ideas in an essay plan because this helps you to distinguish important ideas from other relevant but less important arguments, so you can prioritise these in your essay. When I hear students discussing the topic of essay plans, I often hear these responses. I don't plan my essays. That's not the way I prepare essays. I can't work that way. I think there are several reasons why students feel this way. Firstly, creating a plan adds an extra step in the process of preparing an assignment, and so there's a perception that this will take longer. Secondly, creating an essay plan is hard work because you have to engage in the process of constructing an outline of an argument and engage in hard thinking. When measured against Bloom's taxonomy, when done well, an essay plan demonstrates higher level thinking. In contrast, when students start writing straight away, a common result is descriptive writing, which is a lower level thinking skill and not as arduous. So not creating an essay plan is an easier, more comfortable process as it contains the messy but valuable aspects of the learning process. Thirdly, constructing an essay plan creates discomfort because the student can more easily see aspects of their argument which is weak and therefore need to revise their work. Let's look at the flip side of some of these arguments and consider some of the benefits of creating an essay plan. Firstly, although essay plans create an additional step in the process of writing an assignment, ultimately they save time as writing up the essay is much faster with the input of a solid plan. This also has the benefit of reducing procrastination by removing uncertainty, which breeds distraction. Knowing what you are writing keeps you more focused on your task. Secondly, the hard thinking required to create an argument in an essay plan does get easier with practice and just become part of the process of preparing an assignment. Engaging with the messy parts of learning, such as making and correcting mistakes, ultimately results in quicker skills development and a richer learning experience. Thirdly, an essay plan forces the author to be critical and evaluate their argument. It's easier to spot problems and weaknesses of argument when this is outlined in abbreviated form. Consequently, this allows the writer to critically assess their work and revise this before submission, rather than becoming aware of the weaknesses through assignment feedback. This results in a better piece of work overall and leads to quicker learning and higher grades. Alongside these arguments, consider some of the benefits identified as part of defining the term essay plan. Give thought to these benefits and consider whether essay planning is a process you want to invest in your learning experience. Common advice on essay planning often involves practical suggestions, how to capture ideas, rather than what ideas should be captured. This advice often comprises visual aids of mind maps or spider diagrams, voice notes or unstructured writing, such as a brain dump. Sometimes structure is prioritised over content, identifying elements such as the introduction, body and conclusion of an essay, but not specifying the content which should be planned within these elements. A more useful suggestion is the use of post-it notes, writing one idea in answer to the question on each note. This allows the students to rearrange these notes easily to decide on the structure of an argument, an order of discussion of ideas in answer to the question. The difficulty with a lot of these suggestions is that they rarely identify the content of the argument within the body of the essay, other than at a broad level, hinting at possible topic sentences for each paragraph. Commonly, evidence and analysis are left unspecified, and so it is not possible to see the nuance of the argument and undertake critical examination of this prior to writing up. Where students must submit an essay plan as part of an assessment process, these kinds of essay plans don't reveal the detail of the argument to be presented, limiting the advice which can be given in marking feedback to develop the argument at a high level. If you've reached this part of the video, you're likely building an understanding that an essay plan should specify the argument of the essay that you will present in the body of your essay in a good level of detail. A good way to summarise the components of an academic argument is using the P or Peel paragraph models. That's point, evidence, explain, or point, evidence, explain, link. Think of this as a recipe for the ingredients you will need to combine to create a strong argument. If you're not familiar with these methods, I have videos on this topic which I'll link on the end card. Therefore, if we think about an essay plan as an abbreviated version of the written up essay, we need to incorporate these elements into our plan. In one of my other study skills videos, I talk about the importance of clarity in academic writing and setting out your thinking process. The P paragraph model helps to facilitate setting out your ideas, specifying how you are making links between information, conclusions you are drawing, and evidence you will use to support your claims. So using the P paragraph in an abbreviated form in your essay plan can support setting out your thinking process in writing. The only aspect of essential information to include in your essay plan from your introduction and conclusion is the thesis statement. That's the main argument you will draw or central answer to the question from which all of the paragraphs in the body of your essay will link to. Try to draft your thesis statement first, and then you can specify the detail in drafting abbreviated P paragraphs to indicate the argument in the body of your essay. Here's how I would abbreviate information for each paragraph of argument you intend to make. For the beginning of each of your paragraphs in your essay, draft a full sentence as this might appear in your written up essay. This is an important sentence as it summarises the primary argumentative moves in your essay. For your evidence, crucially, you will need to include an in-text reference which links to a quotation or idea. It's very important to provide the in-text reference with a note of the page reference so you don't lose the evidence you intend to use once you've identified this. Many an hour can be wasted searching through sources, trying to find evidence you had identified at an earlier stage of research and intended to use in your essay. For the explain element of the P paragraph, indicate briefly how the evidence relates to the point, and then make a note of how the paragraph relates back to the question. Including this final piece of information will help you to check and evaluate in the planning stage whether you are answering the question directly or whether you have drifted away from direct engagement with the question. This is where you might identify changes to your plan and argument are needed, or perhaps in ranking your evidence and associated information, you might decide that one paragraph of argument is less important and can be removed. It's possible to move information around in your plan, like we saw with the post-it note idea, to decide which order of paragraphs presents the strongest and most coherent argumentative moves. Remember to check all aspects of your argument once you have a fully drafted essay plan. Do all paragraphs link to the question? Are the claims supported with evidence? Is the argument coherent? Are there any inconsistencies? At this stage, it's relatively easy to move information around in your plan and try out different argumentative structures without having a lengthy redrafting process. In this video, we've explored what an essay plan does and doesn't look like, considered some of the advantages of creating an essay plan, and given thought to what information should be specified in an essay plan. I hope that explaining the rationale for creating an essay plan has inspired you to spend more time in the planning process when preparing your next assignment. If you have any tips or practices in essay planning that you want to share, be sure to leave a comment below, and so together we can build a useful resource for anyone who finds this video. If you need help with developing your academic argument, check out these videos on writing a P or Peel paragraph to sharpen your skills. And these videos will help you to understand important elements to include in your introduction and conclusion. Thanks for watching.